Hey, folks, how you doing? Walking into the studio after not being here for a couple of days, kind of, I don't know, you get a little rusty. I guess, I don't know. Anywho, folks, hey, American Liberty Radio Network, AmericanLibertyRadio.weebly.com is the website to go to. Oh, yeah, I was working in the studio over the weekend and, got some things planned, but can't do it without you. So if you want to become a patron for $1 a month, $1 a month, come on. Become a patron on the website at AmericanLibertyRadio.weebly.com. Go to the sponsors page. You should see the Become a Patron link and a PayPal link. Become a patron for $1 a month. Yeah, help me keep the lights on around here and keep this show going. And yeah, I had to take a few days off. We've had fires here in Montana and western Montana. The smoke's, been bellowing all over the state. Finally, over the weekend, it rained. So, it downpoured. It rained up in the hills where the fires are and just all over the place. And it pretty much put the fires out. So, so I was better Saturday and I was going to do a show, but I thought, just take the rest of the weekend off, come back Monday. So it's the 18th of September, 2017. And I am your host, Wayne S. Pierce of the American Liberty Radio Network. As you can tell, my voice is still a little scratchy, but hey, much better. Okay. I'm going to ask you tech gurus out there, you guys build computers, right? I have a situation which I have bounced around some ideas in my head as to what the problem could be. But basically, I have to rebuild a computer for my studio. It took a dump over the weekend. Well, I shouldn't say it took a dump. I think there are some simple things that I need to do, and I need to fire it up again and take a look at those things. But I just completely shut it off and just said, screw it, I'm not going to mess with it. And if I wouldn't have done that, I would have thrown it out the window. I'm pretty sure you know the frustrations. So anyway... So I think it's some simple solutions, but I need to rebuild one of my other computers, an older computer I have, it's probably about 6 years old. But I need to know what I can do. I know the motherboard, all that, all you techies out there know all that stuff. I know I may have to change out the motherboard to a more modern, more updated motherboard. I know this. Okay, I can do that. I've worked on computers before in the past, and so, yeah. But anyway, what I'd like to know from you, tech gurus out there, is, should I go Intel, AMD, or Celeron, or, which processor would be the best for what I do here in the studio? So that is the tech question of the day. So, anyway, changes are coming. Changes to American Liberty Radio Network are coming. I really want to change it up a bit, make it a little more marketable, that kind of thing, looking at doing some other things as well. You ever sat down and put the pros and cons list down, what you want, what you need, that kind of thing? Have you done that? Because that's basically what I'm doing here. So I've got this long laundry list of things I'd like to have, for the studio and all of that, and some of the things that I know that I can get, you know what I mean? So I've got the needs and the wants and, all of that. So looking at changing up the programming as well. Looking at, changing the name, looking at changing certain things around a little bit, kind of taking some things out of certain niches and putting them elsewhere, and making it a little more efficient for you. So that's what I'm looking at doing. So if at all possible, any support would be appreciated. So if you have any questions whatsoever, please email me at AmericanLibertyRadio@USA.com, AmericanLibertyRadio@USA.com. You can go to the website at AmericanLibertyRadio.weebly.com. That's AmericanLibertyRadio.weebly.com. Go to the sponsors page, check that out. If you want to advertise on the network, that would be very much appreciated as well. So the weekend, I've been off since Wednesday or Thursday last week, and I got to tell you, I'm going to say this. I caught a few posts and a few things from the Emmy Awards, and congrats to the winners, but I'm going to say this. Stephen Colbert used to be funny on The Daily Show with Jon Stewart. Stephen Colbert is now a douchebag. I don't like him. I'm over Hollywood. I am beyond all that, it's pointless, okay? It's absolutely pointless. The whole issue with Hollywood, because I also am an actor and do stuff, and you've heard, New West Radio Theater and stuff. In the past, I've been, on stage performing and all of that. I really, really like that, and that's something that I, pursue quite often. And the thing is that I found out, like, 15, 20 years ago, or more actually now, that if there was a way now in 2017 for anyone to become a quote-unquote celebrity, we've got YouTube, you've got all sorts of platforms. 25, 30 years ago, you didn't. And all you had was Chicago, New York, L.A., that's all you had for the big major film and theater places to go to break into the business. Now you have all these platforms like Vimeo or YouTube or, places like that. And if you go to YouTube and look under fan films, yeah, you've got plenty of opportunities. You don't need the three major cities that used to be the doorway into being a celebrity. You don't. So to me, and over 15 years ago, I realized that the Oscars, the Emmys, the Tonys, all that's just, a bunch of people patting each other on the back and giving themselves awards. It's like, do I look at the lists on who won because I'm in that industry? Of course I do, and I congratulate those that deserve it. And like you, I sit there going, they got that award? Really? So that's part of it. Okay. That's part of why I don't even care about Hollywood anymore. Okay. Stephen Colbert is a douchebag. The women on The View are douchebags. I do not care one rip what anybody says about, they did some good work in the past. Yeah, they did. The operative word there is did. And I've had people in the past tell me, you going to hold that against them? No, I'm just going to ignore them. What's the point, So anyway, That is what's going on. That is what's happening. That's my opinion and my opening statement to everything that is on my end here, and what I observe. So, one modern day 20th century philosopher once said that what is true for you as you observe it. So everybody has their own particular perspective, and that's fine. That's okay. You get 10 people in the room, you're going to have 10 different, perceptions and interpretations of what these people see. Okay? So you've got that. All right? So we see the world burning as we, give awards to overpaid actors. You know what I mean? We see a plethora of people coming together to celebrate their own achievements when, in fact, I don't see them opening doors to refugees. I don't see them, paying millions of dollars into various organizations that literally can get into these areas and help. I don't see this. If an actor makes $20 million, how much does he take home? Probably about half that. So why doesn't that actor take, half of that, $5 million, and go to these ravaged places from Hurricane Harvey and Irma and all that and help, rebuild? Why? Why don't they do that? So this is one of the things the liberals hate, is the fact that you're rebuilding and you're restoring and you're reviving certain areas. Liberal. When I say liberals, I'm talking hardcore leftist liberals who couldn't get into the Progressive Party with the Democratic Socialists and the Republican Fascists. I'm talking people who just hate everybody because they don't care, because nobody gave them what they wanted. They're throwing temper tantrums and people are laughing at them, and they're telling you and yelling at you, "Don't laugh at me." Yeah, we're going to laugh at you. We look around this world and I see certain things. And I see the Republicans acting as if they're, they're acting as if they're, there are several words I want to use, but I want to keep this family friendly. They're like members of a board of directors, right? And that's what they are, because the Act of 1871 turned Washington, D.C. into a business, and so therefore you have the CEO as president, you have the vice president, which of course is, Pence, and then you have the board of directors, which is Congress. Go look it up if you don't believe me. So you have these Republicans who are board of directors, and they're telling the president, well, we've got this, and here's what we advise, and all of this, they're doing their best to schmooze and to get what they want and to pay off their lobbyists and their special interest groups. And they're up there dictating to us what we should and should not have, how we should have things, and they're doing this. Now, remember, they're part of the problem because they are half of the members of the Progressive Party. Okay? So they're like, yeah, it would be nice if, and, if you don't rock the boat, this is what the Republicans are saying. Now, on the other side of that Progressive Party, you have the Democrats who are saying, no, we're going to do this, and that's just the way it is, and you just better shut the hell up and like it. And you got the far left-leaning liberals, the crybabies that are throwing temper tantrums out there on the outside of the door listening in, going, no, I need to be in there helping. You get my point? We see this. We see this master, this massive stir of emotions from not only Congress, but from the people. And we see these riots and these things taking place for what? These riots and rallies and protests and all that, they're 65% or more of these groups that are protesting are funded by the government themselves through organizations funded by the likes of George Soros and people like that. So, problem, reaction, solution, anyone? Huh? Now, let's get on to some news. I got a solution to most of the problems of America, but you may have some ideas. But I'll give you this idea that in the United States of America, we need to absolutely positively close the freaking border now. I don't really give a rip what people say. We need to close the freaking border. Today, the 18th of September, 2017. Need to close it now. So I call upon the militia and other folks down on the southern border to close the damn border. And if the Border Patrol wants to know what you're doing, just look at them and say, we're doing your job. That's I'm calling on you guys to do that. Take video, take pictures, send it to American Liberty Radio at USA.com. American Liberty Radio at USA.com. Other countries are closing their borders. Hungary builds a wall, cuts illegal immigration by 99%. UN criticized them for being unwelcoming. Yeah, screw the UN. Zero Hedge is reporting this the 18th of September 2017. Hungary has slashed illegal immigration by over 99% after rolling out a series of powerful border fences in response to the European migrant crisis, possibly providing a lesson as to the potential impact of constructing President Trump's much-discussed southern wall in the U.S. Speaking on the second anniversary of the government's move to seal Hungary's borders with Serbia, which is also an external border for the European Union, Prime Minister Viktor Orban's chief security advisor, Grigory Benkandi, announced that the fences have caused illegal immigration to collapse from 391,000 people in 2015 to 18,236 people in 2016, and just 1,184 people in 2017. Quote, the system of technical barriers is the key to the success of the border security, and without it, it would be impossible to stop the massive arrival of immigrants, unquote, the security chief explained. There's more, so I'm going to put this on American Liberty Radio podcast. Let me just tell you right now, Hungary's got it right. And other countries who are closing their border. Did you know that South America, the northern border of South America near Mexico, because you got a few countries in between there. Did you know? Now, I heard this, correct me if I'm wrong, please, that Mexico just shoots you when you cross over the border. I don't know. That's what I hear, so correct me if I'm wrong. All right. I don't think we should shoot people. I think that we need to just close the damn border and tell them to go home. A couple of months ago, or a month or so ago, I heard the story about Cuban diplomats suffering because of an illness, a mystery illness. 21 Americans suffered medical harm in Havana. Medical harm. What? There's so many theories behind that I don't even want to list them. Fox News is reporting the 18th of September 2017, State Department considers closing embassy in Cuba after diplomats suffer mystery illness. Secretary of State Rex Tillerson said Sunday that the Trump administration is considering whether to close the U.S. Embassy in Havana following a string of unexplained incidents that have damaged the health of American diplomats. No one knows what the mysterious illness is, folks. No one knows. Okay? No one. It is what it is. I mean, no one knows what it is, but people are getting sick. There's theories bouncing around, so I don't know. It says read more. I'll put that on American Liberty Radio Podcast on Facebook. Let me know if you're seeing the posts either on my personal page at Wayne S. Pierce on Facebook or any number of pages I have, such as American Liberty Radio Podcast, because Facebook is censoring people, and they have come out and said they are. So that's just the way it is. I don't even want to talk about what the Emmys were. I gave you my perspective of it. And I'm not even going to put up Stephen Colbert because he's a dumbass. I'll say it again. I don't really care. Now, good things do come out of Washington, D.C., though. Good things do come out of Washington, D.C. This is key to remember. Okay? Rand Paul's Senate vote rolls back the warfare state. Congress doesn't even want to vote on whether to vote on war. This is 18th of September. This is coming from Rand Paul and also InfoWars. Last week, Senator Rand Paul, Republican of Kentucky, reminded Congress that in matters of war, they have the authority and the responsibility to speak for the American people. Most senators were not happy about the reminder, which came in the form of a forced vote on whether to allow a vote on his amendment to appeal the Afghanistan and Iraq war resolutions of 2001 and 2002. It wasn't easy. Senator Paul had to jump through hoops just to get a vote on whether to have a vote. I'm going to stop right there. I'm going to go on here in a minute, but I'm going to stop right there and say this. You got a committee, over here that votes on whether or not you want to form another committee to look into some other issue, but then you have to vote in that committee to tackle that issue. But then, before that, you have to vote on whether or not to vote for looking into that issue. Do you see why there is gridlock in Washington, D.C.? I've never once, and I say this with full disclosure here, I've never I never once knew any politician that would do anything right for the people once they got into Washington, D.C. Not once. No. That may sound strange, so let me simplify that for you. None of the politicians are there for you. That's as simple as I can make it. They don't give one rip about you. Now, Rand Paul, is voting, trying to do this. There's like maybe a dozen or more congressmen that are like him. But do you see the powers in numbers in Washington, D.C., where you've got the lobbyists, special interest groups, the Progressive Party, the left-wing, far-left liberals, the right-wing, far-right conservatives, and all, you've got this massive amount of people who are fighting with one another, dividing the country, and the people are looking into Washington, D.C. is looking at a prize fight and say, what the hell are you guys doing? And, it's tough. It's really tough to look at. Because at one point, you just want to, go and rip the hearts out of these, out of these brainless freaking politicians. If you look at people like Chuck Schumer and Paul Ryan and all that, they're dumber than dirt. They have they're paid off, they're minions, they're puppets, they're people that just, all they care about is the dollar they make. That's all they give a crap about. They don't care about anything. Do they care about you? Do they come to your house for dinner and ask you what's wrong and how they can help? No. Although I wouldn't let them in my house for dinner. I've known politicians. Growing up in Stockton, California, I've known politicians. City council, board of directors. I've known these people through acquaintances and through friends and all of this, and I've heard what they had to say. And let me tell you something. It's one script revised over and over. That's all it is. It's not original ideas to the forefront that they bring to the forefront of their campaigns or to the citizenry. And no, it's no. It's the same script over and over, revised to suit the speaker and the audience. That's it. That's it. And this is true in any other country. Okay? This is true in any other country. When you look at the politician and what they say, it's all made up. It's all a script that somebody else writes and revises it for the situation and the people, for the speaker and for the audience. That's it. That's all it is. For you to sit there and to listen to a politician on TV, or if you go to a rally, you're listening to a script that somebody else wrote, number one, and that some other politician has read from, number two. So when you look at the very nature of politics and you look at the very nature of this electoral system, this republic of, by, and for the people, this constitutional republic, you will see two things. One, you will see a quote-unquote politician come out of the woodwork. It's like, coming out of nowhere, and then saying exactly the same thing some other politician said, except he revised the words and basically, borrowed some things. And you see this. You've known this. It's been revealed to you many times. And you hear the same words just put in a different way to a different audience. So anyway, when you hear a politician or you see them reading off a teleprompter, you're seeing them reading a script. Same thing with the, mainstream propagandists on your networks, network news. They're reading a script from the teleprompter. I mean, it's what it is. Go talk to the production crews of any of your local TV stations. Where do you get that? Who wrote that? And then you got to go back and look at where it is. Now, I do have to admit, some of them do write their own copy, but it has to be approved. Others, it's just given to them. Here's your, copy for today. Here, read this and, whatever. Because they're freaking puppets on TV. That's what they are. Time to go to break, folks. Yeah, I know, it's the bottom of the hour, so I'm going to get out of here for a little bit, couple of minutes. Don't go away. I'll be back in 2 minutes, 39 seconds. This is Wayne S. Pierce for American Liberty Radio Network, AmericanLibertyRadio.weebly.com.
Greetings, this is John LeBang of The John LeBang Show, and you're listening to the American Liberty Radio Network.
Late Night in the Midlands is an alternative media that covers the truth, theory, and facts that the lamestream media won't talk about. We cover everything from the known and the unknown, the normal and the paranormal. The government lies and the government ties, and even their thrive. We tell what's coming, what's going, whether it be politics or archaeologists. We have an amazing fan base, and our shows are all archived to be heard millions of times more. So tell your friends, your family, and anybody you care about LateNightInTheMidlands.com. Become a member and be informed.
Growing up terrestrial radio, the future is here. Destroying the liberal media one truth bomb at a time. Independent media is shattering the liberal national security media into a million pieces. Their views of the world are based on the script the government gives them. Independent media seeks out and finds the truth and reports on what is truly going on behind the scenes. Support the truth and facts. Support independent media. Hey folks, how you doing? Welcome back. This is American Liberty Radio Network, AmericanLibertyRadio.weebly.com. How you doing? How you doing there, eh? Anywho. Hey, email me if you'd like. If you got questions, I got answers, hopefully. I don't know everything, so if I don't know, I'll tell you I don't know. Email me at AmericanLibertyRadio@USA.com. AmericanLibertyRadio@USA.com. This is interesting coming from Zero Hedge because I think you've heard this many, many times that Google and Facebook are basically, running your lives. Have you looked at Have you gone to Best Buy and looked at Alexa or looked at the other, automated things, anyway, you know what I'm talking about, right? Where you can just walk in and hit a button and go, hey, Alexa, find me a recipe for this, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So, and by the way, your smart TVs know what you're doing too. Are Facebook and Google the new colonial powers? You're the surf, Zero Hedge, 18th September 2017. To qualify as colonial powers, Facebook and Google must effectively limit the choices of and powers of users and punish or coerce those who question or resist their power. This is from Zero Hedge. Let me go to Zero Hedge and give you that one. That's at Infowars.com, by the way. You may find that. Tyler Durden over at Zero Hedge has written this. Thank you, Tyler. Appreciate that very much. Authored by Charles Hugh Smith via Of Two Minds blog. Okay, he's taking that from there. Hopefully there, excuse me, yeah. But before I read this, there's a video that's attempting to play, so I'm making sure that it doesn't play. But before I read you what this article is and read you some of it, I want to ask you a question. Now, you've probably had your cell phones, your smart TVs, your all of that for quite a while, right? You've had it for a while, right? Did you ever think at all that you would ever be tracked? Oh, by the way, if you're on your phone, when you're done listening to this, go to your browser, type in history.google.com, history.google.com. Guess what? There's a whole list of things. Go over to the left, look at my activity or, activity. It will show you There's a map there also. It shows you where you've been. It shows you everything that's, you've done on your phone, everything. So don't tell me you haven't been tracked. Okay? So I know this. All right? Tyler Durden over at Zero Hedge, authored by Charles Hugh Smith via Two Minds blog. And it says here, to qualify as colonial powers, Facebook and Google must effectively limit the choices and powers of users and punish or coerce those who question or resist their power. I was struck by the phrase from the recent essay on advertising and social media, argue the product. Quote, as Taplin points out, that remark unwittingly revealed a previously unspoken truth. Facebook and Google are the new colonial powers, unquote. As you've no doubt noticed, the dominance of Facebook and Google in online advertising is now, quote unquote, in the news for a variety of reasons. The possibility that agents of other governments influenced U.S. elections with media buyouts on Facebook, antitrust concerns, the potential for these advert tech giants to effectively silence legitimate online voices under the guise of limiting quote-unquote fake news, and, of course, the ongoing issues of click fraud and underperformance of digital ads. The phrase that captures this broad narrative is, quote, when an online service is free, you're not the customer, you're the product, unquote. In other words, if you're not paying for the service or content, then your information harvested by Google, Facebook, et al., your time online, i.e. your attention, aka eyeballs, and the content you create and post are for free, videos of your cute cat, etc., are the products being sold to advertisers at a premium. The characterization of the two dominant digital advert giants as new colonial powers is interesting on a number of fronts. To get a handle on a few of the issues, I recommend reading these two essays. And by the way, this is a very short, let me take a look. Yeah, this is relatively long. So I'm going to put this on American Liberty Radio Podcast for you to check out. Now, I know a lot of people don't like to read, but this is very, very important due to the fact that Google and Facebook are the dominant companies that are controlling what you see, controlling what you buy, controlling what you hear, controlling everything. Okay, so that's on American Liberty Radio Podcast. Now, I'm going to go in another direction here, and I'm going to preface it by saying this. To me, I don't care what your sexual orientation is because you're a human being. Number one, you're a human being. You have a spirit. You're a limitless spiritual being. You are who you are. There's no denying that. You didn't deny it. You accepted it. Therefore, you are who you are in your eyes. And in my eyes, you're a human being. Just want to lay it out there like that, okay? I know that's a little confusing. But simply put, you're a human being. This whole issue about who, what, when, where, why, how, who uses what bathroom, and who identifies as who is a bunch of bull crap. Bottom line, bunch of bull crap. Not only for the people claiming their identity or identifying as something they're not, but it's also, I would think, embarrassing for them as well, but it's the people who are trying to cater the best they can to these people, okay, that are self-identifying as fill in the blanks. Yale swaps out quote-unquote freshmen and quote-unquote upperclassmen with quote-unquote gender-neutral terms. Dean claims university is modernizing language. This is from the Daily Wire. It's on Infowars.com. 18th of September 2017. Yale University administrators have replaced quote-unquote freshmen and quote-unquote upperclassmen with the terms quote-unquote first year and quote-unquote upper-level students in official campus publications, Yale Daily News reported on Friday. The terminology shift, YDN claims, comes from calls for, quote, greater gender inclusivity, unquote. Okay? What they don't realize, and this is Yale, folks, what they don't get is the fact that whoever walks on their campus, male or female, is a human being. They don't get this. But some people there, and this is a prime example of pushing the issue, some people in campuses across the United States are pushing their, let's just say, their idiocy onto somebody else. They're projecting their, views onto someone else and shoving it down their throat. Don't tell me they're not, and don't even argue with me. You can see it yourself. Open your freaking eyes. Okay? I know this. I have been in the past the recipient of this type of, idiocy, basically, is what I call it. Okay? So I don't know. You just stand in your corner and suck your thumb, because I really don't care what arguments there are for inclusivity. You're human freaking beings. Act like it. Stop self-identifying. Stop doing this. Stop trying to get more privileges than everybody else. You're standing on your feet. You're standing up. You're looking at life. Be grateful. Okay? I don't give one rip what sexual orientation you identify yourself as. To me, you're a human being. Stop forcing your beliefs on someone else. And that also goes for Christians. Stop it. It's freaking pointless. Okay? Terminology shift, YDN claims, comes from calls for, who called for this, by the way? Find that out. And you'll find out that they're calling for greater gender inclusivity. Quote, we're not trying to be language police, unquote, said Yale's Dean Marvin Chun, describing the new terminology as, quote unquote, modern. Quote, it's really for public formal correspondence and formal publications. We're not trying to tell people what language to use in everyday casual conversation, unquote, said Chung. But they're implying it by changing, the terminology. Freshmen, upperclassmen, first year and upper level students. Yeah, they're changing the terminology, but they're saying, oh, we're not, we're not trying to tell people what language to use in everyday casual conversation. Yeah, you are. No, yeah, you are. That's all there is to it. Yeah, you are. Okay? I mean, I don't, just come out and say, yeah, we're changing the terminology because we were, people bitched at us because, they weren't included in our little, gang, So it's just, I don't know. That's up on American Liberty Radio podcast. So, yeah. I don't know. Media triggered by Trump tweeting video of him, quote-unquote, hitting Hillary with golf ball, describes gift as, quote-unquote, violent. Over the weekend, the president retweeted a funny video. Excuse me. Take two. Over the weekend, the president retweeted a funny video that someone had made online depicting Trump teeing off at a golf match, then splicing in footage of Hillary Clinton being, quote-unquote, hit by a golf ball and falling over. Okay? Yeah. I'm just going to leave that there. There's a bunch of tweets and videos and such in the article. It's on American Liberty Radio podcast. I don't know. I don't know. It's. Have you ever had those moments where you just can't wrap your mind around certain things? Yeah. That's why I was silent. Yeah. Just go with me here, folks. 80 arrests as riots grip St. Louis for third day after ex-cop's acquittal in fatal shooting. There's videos there. Quote, "This is no longer a peaceful protest," unquote, police said on Twitter as they ordered the crowd to disperse immediately. Riot police in St. Louis have made more than 80 arrests after a third consecutive day of protests that started peacefully but erupted into riot, clashes, and vandalism. It comes after an ex-cop was acquitted in the fatal shooting of a black man. St. Louis police were forced to deploy reinforcements after initial reports of, quote, significant property damage, unquote, and, quote, agitators breaking multiple windows, unquote, surfaced in downtown St. Louis around 8 p.m. Protesters also attempted to block a ramp onto an interstate highway, according to police and witnesses cited by Reuters. Yeah, so I am at a loss for words. Because, and I'll tell you why, and it's real simple. Something happens. Your team wins the series, yay! So the opposite team goes out and breaks crap. They go destroy cars, turn over cop cars, break windows, all that. Okay? A cop gets acquitted, as did the 4 cops in the years ago. Remember the Rodney King incident? Those 4 cops were acquitted, and they damn near burned down half the town near L.A. But justice was served, the system worked, and people are pissed. Okay? Now, do you not think that common sense would rule in this and say, wait a minute, they accuse this cop of shooting a black man, whatever the, circumstantial evidence and all of that was and the reasoning for it and all that. Why? Okay, so they went to court, they did the whole thing and blah, ruined this guy's life probably, and he's acquitted. And the opposition, the people that wanted him hung by rope until dead, are protesting and breaking windows and, destroying things. Okay? How stupid is that? How freaking stupid is that? Okay? I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't understand why people want to go and burn down buildings, Ferguson and all that, or break windows, as is this case here in St. Louis. Why? Why? Because you're pissed? Why? Because you're throwing a temper tantrum because you didn't get what you want, you far left liberal freaking loons? It doesn't make any sense to me. It doesn't. So, why is this happening? I said it before, I'll say it again. Certain groups who protest against basic peace, freedom, liberty, and security for the United States, most of these opposition groups are funded by far-left liberal organizations that are funded by the likes of George Soros. I would even go as far as saying about 60% of them. Probably a little more than that. But the bottom line is, it's all a show. It's all a show, because the more that the mainstream propagandists, mainstream media propagandists, the more they show you, the more excited and emotional you'll get for justice against the system. Because what it's showing you is, oh, this police officer or that criminal or whatever was acquitted by a jury of his peers, but the system didn't work because the system and its supporters want blood. They want hangings. They want public execution. They want to set the example of don't do crime, or you'll get the wrath of the far left liberal loons. Okay. Now I know that's, a lot of stuff there, right? That I said. Breaking all of that down into the most simplest way for you guys to understand is this. It's not so much an us against them scenario or situation. It is a system that is in itself imploding upon itself by means of the far left liberal progressive movement, the far right conservative movements, the people that want to pour money into organizations to do one thing and one thing only: divide and conquer. There's no question about that. Okay? None whatsoever. The poor, the lower middle class, the upper middle class are the ones that are going to suffer. Okay? That's basically it. That's basically it. Changing gears here, I want to say that also, hopefully this week I can get confirmation, but hopefully I'll have John LeBang on the show in regards to the riots and the protesting and all of that, and get his take on why, number one, why they're doing this, and number two, what the patriots, what the Americans who don't like that kind of stuff are doing to secure our peace, freedom, liberty, and security for the nation. So hopefully I'll get John LeBang on the show. Go check out John LeBang Show. It's on, it's here on Spreaker as well as on, I believe, Alien Radio X or something like that. I'm not quite sure. But he has a great show. You can go to J LeBang. That's LEBANG. J, the letter J, LeBang, LEBANG.com. John LeBang Show. You can check him out. I'm going to hopefully get him on the show to talk about these riots, talk about solutions if there are any, and what our patriots are doing in America to secure our peace, freedom, liberty, and security for the nation. For all of us, for you and I. So I'm going to try to get him on the show this week. Also, I'm going to try to get Brian Lang on the show and try to get his take on just basic, the basic view of people in terms of not only the freedoms that we so enjoy and want to secure, but also Extortion 17, a bunch of other, things related to that, looking at the, Clinton emails and all of this. So hopefully I'll get Brian Lang on the show from livetruthradio.com. So hopefully, I can get him to pop in and talk about these things. so many things are going on in our country today. I really believe that most people, and when I say most, I'm talking a little over 50%, most people don't really care. Now, I could be wrong, and I could have overlooked a few things, but I don't think I have. I think half of the people, that's probably 150 million people in America right now. There's 320 plus million people in the United States. So I think a little over 150 million of them just don't care. They just don't care. They don't really give a crap, you know. And I think that at some point, and this is just me. This is just my perspective, but I think at some point these people are going to have a rude awakening when they get up and try to go to work in the morning. Whatever they're doing, whether part-time, full-time, whether they've been there, 5, 10, 15, 20 years, doesn't matter. They're going to have a rude awakening when they wake up and try to go to work. How can you change your own environment? How can you change your own environment? By doing. I don't give one rip what it is you do. If your environment is beginning to implode upon yourself, you must act accordingly to either eradicate those things causing that implosion or completely revising and remodeling and rebuilding. Okay? I would even go as far as saying, and this is my own opinion, I would even go as far as saying, let the government collapse. Let Washington, D.C. fail miserably, go into the Potomac or into the Atlantic, I don't care which one, and just go away. Our founding fathers said we don't need a centralized government. They also said we don't need a centralized military or a centralized banking system. Guess what we have, folks? We have all three. We have all three. And it puts the strain on the American people. It puts the financial, economic, probably both there, spiritual, physical strain on the American people. Having to have endless wars in other countries to protect those people when in fact those countries are in the midst of a civil war, right? And the question is, are they our allies? Number one. If they're not, bring those military personnel home, protect our borders, period. That's the way it is. By the way, when you look at the Middle East, which is usually where we go, because we're not in Denmark, we're not in Germany, we're not fighting battles in, the streets of France, we're not, none of that. It's all the Middle East. Go look at Iran, Iraq, Saudi Arabia. We're not in there fighting anybody, but that's part of why we are there protecting people. So I'm just letting you know. So that whole structure of the Middle East is imploding upon itself, and the world's police, the military-industrial complex of the United States of America, is over there protecting people. Why? Because people can't protect themselves, because those countries have not only limited but banned anyone, any civilian, any citizen from protecting themselves. Okay? This is why there are certain groups that are funding and moving weapons to rebels, quote unquote, and, it's outside of the military-industrial complex. I'm just going to leave it at that because I'm out of here in about 20 seconds. Oh, God. American Liberty Radio Network, sharing the truth one fact at a time without all the BS. AmericanLibertyRadio.weebly.com.